Have you ever stood up from your favorite chair only to feel your legs wobble, your knees stiffen, or your balance falter just enough to make you pause? Maybe you chalked it up to aging, a natural part of getting older, something everyone must live with. But what if I told you it's not your age that's quietly stealing the strength from your legs, it's your food? Not your genes, not your joints, but the choices you make every single day at the breakfast table, the lunch counter, and the dinner plate. As someone who has worked in the field of senior health for over 10 years, I can tell you this with certainty. I've seen 72-year-olds hike trails confidently and 62-year-olds who can't walk up 3 stairs without clinging to a railing. The difference isn't about luck. It's about what's going into their bodies and what's slowly being taken away as a result. You might think your legs are getting weaker because of aging, but the real culprit could be quietly hiding on your plate. And what I'm about to reveal might surprise you. Let me ask you a serious question. Do you believe that one mistake at breakfast, just one, could slowly and silently weaken your legs over time without you even noticing? That sounds dramatic, I know, but I've witnessed it again and again. I had a patient named George, 74 years old, a former Marine. Still sharp, still proud. But when he came to me, he couldn't understand why he struggled to climb stairs or stand without fatigue. His diet seemed fine, toast and fruit-flavored yogurt every morning. But when we broke it down, it was loaded with hidden sugars. 3 months after adjusting his breakfast alone, George was walking better than he had in years. This is the trap many seniors fall into. Familiar comfort foods, sweet treats, or even healthy products filled with sneaky ingredients. Over time, they don't just hurt your waistline. They sabotage your legs, your energy, and your independence. And you're not alone if you didn't know. Most people don't. That's why I made this video. In this video, I'll show you the 5 most common foods that are secretly robbing your strength, draining your mobility, and damaging your muscles, joints, and bones. But more importantly, I'll give you powerful, practical alternatives you can start using today. This isn't about giving up everything you love. It's about making smarter swaps, the kind of adjustments that nourish your body instead of wearing it down. Because even in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, your legs can recover. Your body can heal. And your independence? You can protect it, starting with your next meal. Now, before we dive in, let me ask you for a quick favor. If you've ever struggled with weak legs, balance issues, or constant fatigue when walking or standing, please give this video a thumbs up so YouTube knows this is an important topic that more people need to see. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. I post content like this every week, designed specifically for people over 60 who want to live longer, move better, and feel stronger, without pills, gimmicks, or empty promises. And one more thing. When we get to the most surprising item on the list, the one food you probably eat every day without knowing the damage it causes, I want you to leave a comment that says, "I had no idea." That's how we know this message is reaching the people who need it most. Over the last 10 years, I've worked with hundreds of older adults, from rural towns to bustling cities, and there's one truth that always stands out. When you feed your legs the right nutrients, they will carry you longer and stronger than you ever imagined. I've seen 80-year-olds return to gardening. I've seen 78-year-old women stop using walkers. Not because of medication, but because they learned how to eat in a way that supports strength, circulation, and joint health. You don't need to accept a slow decline. You just need to know what to avoid and what to embrace instead. So if your legs feel heavy, if you've been waking up with stiffness in your knees or swelling in your ankles, or if the stairs in your house are starting to feel like a mountain climb, stay with me. You're about to learn what's really going on inside your body and how small dietary shifts can restore strength, reduce pain, and help you walk with confidence again. What you choose to eat today will shape how you move tomorrow. And we're going to start with one of the biggest, most common culprits, a substance found in your morning coffee, your after-dinner treat, and sometimes even your so-called healthy snacks. It's comforting, familiar, and quietly destructive. That's right. We're talking about sugar, the sweet deceiver that's been stealing your strength, one bite at a time. Let's begin. 1. Processed sugar, the sweet deceiver. Let's begin with the most deceptive ingredient in your kitchen, sugar. It looks innocent, even comforting. It's in your coffee, your cereal, your healthy yogurt. But make no mistake, this sweet substance could be one of the quietest, most consistent forces weakening your legs every single day. You might believe that a little sugar here and there is harmless. But let me ask you something. Do you believe that one mistake at breakfast could slowly and silently weaken your legs over time without you even noticing? That might sound dramatic, but I've seen it play out in dozens of patients throughout my 10 years working with older adults. And I can assure you, it's more real than most people realize. Sugar doesn't just affect your weight or blood pressure. It chips away at your energy, your joints, your muscles, and yes, even your bones. When you consume processed sugar, whether in obvious forms like pastries and soda, or hidden inside flavored yogurt, cereal, or salad dressings, it causes your blood sugar to spike rapidly. Your body rushes to respond, producing insulin to bring it back down. But in older adults, this correction is often exaggerated, leading to a dramatic crash in energy. That crash is more than just a moment of tiredness. It's your body struggling to stay upright, to move freely. Suddenly, climbing stairs feels harder. Your legs feel heavy, unstable. What seems like everyday fatigue might actually be your metabolism reacting to that sweetened morning coffee or that mid-morning muffin. But sugar doesn't stop at draining your energy, it fuels inflammation, the enemy of mobility. Chronic inflammation caused by consistent sugar intake attacks your joints and muscles from within. The knees, hips, and ankles, all weight-bearing joints, become stiffer, more swollen, and painful. And the muscles? They become less flexible, less capable of repairing themselves, and more prone to weakness. Inflammation creates a cycle that makes walking harder, standing more painful, and balance more fragile. One of my patients, Marianne, 68, came to me complaining that her legs ached constantly, even during short walks. She was surprised to learn her daily low-fat yogurt had more sugar than a donut. 3 weeks after switching to plain Greek yogurt and berries, she felt lighter, stronger, and more stable on her feet. Then there's insulin resistance, another hidden consequence of too much sugar. As we age, our bodies become less sensitive to insulin, making it harder for muscles to absorb the glucose and nutrients they need. The result? Muscles slowly starve, lose mass, and lose strength. This is how sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle, sets in. And while it may start subtly, the effects are life-altering. Unsteady steps, shorter walks, less ability to stand from a chair without assistance. I've watched it happen over time to so many people, and in most cases, it wasn't age alone, it was sugar, fueling a decline no one saw coming. And the damage doesn't end with muscles. Sugar also affects your bones. It interferes with calcium absorption and increases the excretion of magnesium, both essential for bone health. Weak bones mean a higher risk of fractures, especially in the hips. For many older adults, a hip fracture is more than an injury. It's a life-changing event that can result in hospitalization, surgery, and long-term loss of independence. So yes, that harmless cookie, that sugary cereal, that daily sweet coffee, it's not just feeding your sweet tooth. It may be robbing you of your ability to move, to live freely, to walk with confidence. And here's the tricky part, sugar hides everywhere. Even in foods marketed as healthy. Granola bars, flavored oatmeal, bottled smoothies, ketchup, salad dressings, protein shakes, whole grain breads, many of them are loaded with added sugars under names like high fructose corn syrup, dextrose, maltose, or anything ending in -ose. One label might not look bad on its own, but added together, those small daily servings become a powerful, silent attack on your legs. But here's the good news. You don't have to eliminate sugar entirely. This isn't about deprivation, it's about awareness. About making swaps that protect your legs instead of weakening them. Choose whole fruits like berries and apples to satisfy your sweet cravings. They contain fiber and antioxidants that actually reduce inflammation. If you enjoy something sweet after meals, try a square of dark chocolate, 70% cocoa or higher. Swap sweetened yogurt for plain Greek yogurt topped with cinnamon or a few slices of banana. Use raw honey or dates in small amounts as natural sweeteners. And most importantly, read the labels. Look for foods with no added sugar or with less than 5 grams per serving. Cooking more meals at home also gives you total control over ingredients. You can use herbs, spices, vanilla, or citrus to add flavor without the blood sugar spike. And now, let's reflect. If you've realized today just how much hidden sugar has been sneaking into your daily meals, comment below with the words, "I had no idea." That one sentence could help others recognize the same issue in their own lives. Because awareness is power and power is mobility. Every change you make today moves you closer to stronger legs, better balance, and longer independence. We've exposed how sugar, once thought of as a harmless treat, is in fact a sweet deceiver, stealing energy, destroying muscle, inflaming joints, and weakening bones. And now that we've tackled the hidden dangers of sugar, we're moving on to something equally familiar, but far crunchier. It's golden, it's satisfying, and it's found in diners, drive-thrus, and kitchens around the world. Up next, fried and fast foods, the silent enemies of your joints and circulation. You might love the texture, the taste, the convenience, but your legs? They're paying the price. Let's dive in. 2. Deep-fried and fast foods, the silent enemy of your joints and circulation. If sugar is the sweet deceiver that slowly steals your strength, then deep-fried and fast foods are the silent saboteurs that wear down your joints, clog your circulation, and weigh heavy on your legs every step you take. The truth is, few things in modern life feel as satisfying as a crunchy, golden bite of fried food. French fries, crispy chicken, onion rings, a hot donut fresh out of the fryer, they're nostalgic, affordable, and everywhere. For many older adults, fast food feels like a small joy in a busy or lonely day. But beneath that satisfying crunch lies a powerful threat to your ability to move, to walk, and to stay independent. Let me share something I've learned working with seniors for over 10 years. The most dangerous foods are rarely the ones we eat in excess. They're the ones we eat regularly, without thinking. Fried and fast foods fall perfectly into that category. They sneak into our weekly routines, a quick lunch on the way to a doctor's appointment, a snack shared with the grandchildren, or dinner when we're too tired to cook. But over time, those meals add up. And while they fill your stomach, they can slowly drain your mobility. First, let's talk about trans fats, the hidden danger in many fried foods. These industrial fats, often found in partially hydrogenated oils used in deep frying, are among the most inflammatory substances we can consume. They don't just raise bad cholesterol and increase heart risk. They trigger chronic inflammation throughout the body, and that inflammation often settles in the places we use most, the knees, hips, and ankles. Think about it. These joints bear your weight every time you stand, walk, climb stairs, or even shift position in bed. When inflammation takes hold, the cartilage cushioning those joints begins to break down. Over time, that leads to stiffness, pain, swelling, and osteoarthritis, a condition that affects nearly 1 in 3 older adults and makes every step feel like a struggle. I recall a patient named Thomas, 69, who came to me with severe knee pain. He had no history of injury, and his weight was within a normal range. But his diet? Full of fried chicken, fast food breakfasts, and packaged snacks. Once we eliminated those from his meals and introduced anti-inflammatory foods like leafy greens, berries, and olive oil, his symptoms began to ease. His mobility returned. His sleep improved. The change was real, and it started with what he removed, not just what he added. But fried and fast foods don't just attack your joints. They also damage your circulation, which is critical for healthy, functioning leg muscles. Many of these foods are high in saturated fats and sodium, both of which contribute to narrowed blood vessels and elevated blood pressure. When your arteries are constricted, your muscles don't get enough oxygen and nutrients. That's why so many people who eat fast food regularly experience leg cramps, fatigue, and a sluggish feeling even after light activity. You may not link that discomfort to your lunch, but your legs know. And poor circulation doesn't just lead to short-term discomfort. It increases the risk of deep vein thrombosis, DVT, and peripheral artery disease, PAD. These conditions reduce blood flow to the legs and feet, cause pain when walking, and can lead to life-threatening complications. In fact, one of the earliest signs of PAD is leg pain that starts after walking short distances and disappears with rest. If you've experienced this, it's not just old age, it could be a warning sign that your arteries are struggling to do their job. Now let's talk about something we often overlook: the impact of fried food on your weight and how that weight impacts your legs. Fried foods are calorie-dense, meaning you can consume a large number of calories in a very small portion. It doesn't take much to gain a few pounds, and for your knees, every extra pound you carry adds roughly 4 pounds of pressure on each step. Just think about that. 10 extra pounds equals 40 extra pounds of force on your knees every time you move. No wonder they ache. No wonder stairs feel steeper than they used to. And when your knees hurt, what do? You move less. But less movement leads to weaker muscles, reduced flexibility, and higher risk of falls. It's a vicious cycle, and one that can start with something as simple as a fried snack a few times a week. But perhaps the most overlooked effect of fast and fried foods is how they weaken your bones. These foods are typically low in calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D, all critical for bone density. Worse, the high sodium content can actually leach calcium from your bones. Over time, this leads to osteoporosis, especially in women over 65, increasing the risk of fractures. I've had patients fall from standing height and suffer devastating injuries, not because of the fall itself, but because their bones had become too fragile to absorb the impact. And they never imagined it was their diet that set the stage for such consequences. You may now be wondering, do I need to give up all fried foods forever? And the answer is no, you don't have to be perfect. You just need to be intentional. Here are a few simple strategies to protect your legs while still enjoying your meals. Switch to air frying or oven baking for that crispy texture without the trans fats. Use olive oil or avocado oil instead of canola or soybean oil. Limit fast food to occasional treats and opt for grilled instead of fried options. Pair meals with antioxidant-rich vegetables like spinach, kale, or bell peppers. Stay hydrated, as dehydration can worsen joint stiffness and cramping. And remember, the small changes add up. You may not feel the difference tomorrow, but in 3 weeks, 3 months, you'll feel stronger, more stable, more in control. If any part of this resonates with you, if you've noticed swelling, stiffness, or fatigue after meals, comment below and share your experience. Your story might help someone else connect the dots before it's too late. Now that we've uncovered how fried and fast foods silently chip away at your leg strength and circulation, it's time to talk about another common threat hiding in plain sight: processed meats. They're convenient, they taste great, and they might just be destroying your muscle health one slice at a time. Let's explore exactly why and what you can do instead. 3. Processed meats. The muscle killer you didn't expect, but the damage doesn't stop there. Even if you've managed to reduce sugar and stay away from fried foods, there's another hidden threat that quietly invades your kitchen, your lunchbox, and your dinner plate. It disguises itself as a source of protein, something we're told to prioritize as we age, but behind the convenience lies a silent enemy of your muscles. I'm talking about processed meats. Bacon sizzling in the morning, a quick ham and cheese sandwich for lunch, a hot dog during a family barbecue. These foods are so embedded in daily life that we barely question them. But make no mistake, bite by bite, they are slowly stealing the very thing that keeps you mobile, your muscle strength. You see, processed meats are loaded with sodium, preservatives like nitrates and nitrites, and a long list of additives that your body wasn't designed to process, especially not every day, and especially not past the age of 60. Excess sodium, for instance, throws off your body's fluid balance. It leads to water retention, swelling, and that familiar feeling of heavy, sluggish legs, the kind that makes a walk around the block feel like a hike uphill. If your ankles feel puffy at the end of the day, or your shoes suddenly feel tighter, this may be why. And beyond just making you feel bloated or stiff, this swelling puts pressure on your joints and tissues, reducing circulation and making recovery slower after simple activity. But swelling is just the beginning. The preservatives used to keep these meats shelf-stable can trigger chronic, low-grade inflammation in the body. Over time, this inflammation begins to degrade muscle tissue, making your legs feel weaker and more prone to fatigue, even if you haven't changed your exercise routine. I once worked with a client named James, 66, who was baffled that his morning walks, something he'd done for years, suddenly left him out of breath and sore. After tracking his diet, we discovered he was eating processed deli meat sandwiches 5 days a week for lunch. Once we replaced them with grilled chicken and legumes, his energy returned within 2 weeks. The food wasn't just feeding his stomach, it was draining his strength. And here's where it gets even more serious. Processed meats don't just cause inflammation and swelling. They actively interfere with nutrient absorption. Your muscles need high-quality protein, iron, magnesium, and B vitamins to repair and grow. But the chemical additives in these meats, combined with their low actual nutrient density, can block your body from properly utilizing these essential building blocks. In other words, your legs are being starved, even when you feel full. That's why you might notice increasing leg fatigue, slower walking pace, or greater difficulty standing up, not because you're lazy, not because you're weak, but because your body isn't getting what it needs to function. Let me say this clearly. Sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass, doesn't happen just because you're getting older. It happens faster and harder when you feed your body the wrong fuel. Processed meats accelerate that loss, weakening the legs, reducing stability, and increasing the risk of falls. And for older adults, a single fall can change everything, leading to surgery, months of rehab, or the loss of independence altogether. But perhaps the cruelest irony is this. Many seniors eat processed meats because they're marketed as good sources of protein. Deli meats, breakfast sausages, turkey bacon, they're quick, they're salty, they're tasty, and they seem convenient. But protein means nothing if it comes packaged with inflammation and nutrient depletion. So if you think you're supporting your legs by having a protein-rich sandwich for lunch, but that protein is coming from cured ham or bologna, the truth is, you may be doing more harm than good. The good news? You don't need to abandon protein, you just need to upgrade it. Swap cold cuts for grilled chicken breast or roasted turkey. Bake salmon with herbs or steam some lentils and mix them into soups. Use mashed avocado or hummus on your sandwiches instead of processed deli slices. These changes don't just remove the harmful compounds, they rebuild what's been lost. They support real muscle growth, real energy, real mobility, and they do it without the hidden cost. If you've been feeling weaker, slower, or more unsteady, and you rely on convenience meats daily, now is the time to pause and reassess. You deserve food that builds you up, not breaks you down. So tell me in the comments, what processed meat do you eat most often, and which one are you ready to say goodbye to first? Just acknowledging that one step could set you on a stronger path. Because next, we're going to look at another major culprit in the slow weakening of your legs, one that's even more common, even more accepted, and even more destructive than you might think. It's not sweet, it's not salty, but it's refined. And every time you eat it, you're feeding a cycle of fatigue, inflammation, and lost strength. Up next, refined carbohydrates, the soft, fluffy trap that steals your stamina one bite at a time. 4. Refined carbohydrates, the comfort food that kills leg strength. And just when you think you've identified the major threats, sugar, fried food, processed meats, there's another one quietly waiting in your pantry. This one doesn't look dangerous. In fact, it feels like comfort. It's soft, warm, nostalgic. Toast at breakfast, a sandwich at lunch, pasta at dinner. It's everywhere. And for many older adults, it's the backbone of daily meals. But here's what most don't realize. Refined carbohydrates are one of the leading silent destroyers of leg strength and long-term mobility. You see, unlike whole grains, which retain their fiber, vitamins, and minerals, refined carbs have been stripped down to empty calories. White bread, white rice, regular pasta, pastries, they spike your blood sugar quickly, giving you a short-lived boost. But that boost is followed by a steep crash. You feel drained, your legs feel heavy, your motivation disappears. It's not just in your head. That roller coaster in your blood sugar creates a very real roller coaster in your muscles, especially in your lower body, which uses more energy than almost any other part of you. I remember a client named Elaine, 72, who described her afternoons as a fog. I eat lunch, she said, and by 2 p.m., I feel like my legs belong to someone else. Her lunch? A white bread turkey sandwich, a small bag of chips, and a diet soda. Harmless, right? Until we replaced her bread with sprouted grains, swapped chips for roasted sweet potatoes, and encouraged more fiber and protein in her meals. Within 10 days, she said something I'll never forget. I feel like I have my legs back. That's because refined carbohydrates do more than just swing your energy. They feed inflammation just like sugar and trans fats. And as we've already uncovered, inflammation stiffens joints, slows muscle recovery, and drains your stamina. The more refined carbs you eat, the more your body burns through available fuel quickly, leading to overworked systems and undernourished tissues. Your legs don't get the nutrients they need to perform, to rebuild, or to stay strong. Over time, you begin to walk less, move less, and depend more, not because of aging, but because of depletion. Even worse, refined carbs accelerate muscle loss, particularly when they crowd out the space where quality protein and healthy fats should be. Muscles aren't maintained by calories alone. They need amino acids, magnesium, B vitamins, and steady glucose, not spikes and crashes. Without these building blocks, your body starts to eat away at its own lean tissue for energy. And where do we lose that tissue first? The legs, the thighs, the calves, the foundation of your independence. And here's the real heartbreak. So many seniors choose these foods because they're soft, easy to chew, and familiar. But that very softness is exactly why they're so harmful. The less your food makes your body work, the faster your body forgets how to work. Digestion slows, circulation weakens, muscle tone fades. And just like that, walking becomes tiring, stairs become risky, and your world becomes smaller. So what can you do? Start simple. Replace white bread with sprouted grain or whole grain options. Look for breads with visible seeds, fiber, and no added sugar. Switch white rice for quinoa, brown rice, or wild rice. Instead of regular pasta, try whole wheat, lentil, or chickpea-based alternatives. For breakfast, trade pastries and sugary cereal for steel-cut oats, topped with nuts and berries. These changes not only fuel your body more evenly, but they also give your legs the nutrients and time they need to recover, rebuild, and grow stronger. And don't be fooled by low-fat or light labels. Often, those products are loaded with refined carbs and hidden sugars to make up for flavor. Always read the labels and ask yourself, does this food nourish me or just fill me? The difference could be whether you feel tired by noon or strong enough to take that afternoon walk with confidence. If you've been relying heavily on white bread, pasta, or crackers and feel like your legs just aren't what they used to be, I want you to comment below with the word rebuilding. Because that's exactly what you're doing when you start shifting away from refined carbs. You're rebuilding your strength, one smart choice at a time. And now that we've covered how sugar, fried foods, processed meats, and refined carbs silently sabotage your strength, we need to talk about one more element that sneaks in through your seasoning, your snacks, and even your so-called heart-healthy meals. It's not sweet, not fatty, not starchy, it's salty. And while your taste buds might crave it, your legs, they're begging for relief. Let's move into the next section. High sodium, the invisible weight dragging down your legs one pinch at a time. 5. Sodium, the invisible weight behind swollen, weak legs. And now we arrive at one of the most underestimated enemies of leg strength and stability, not because it's hidden, but because it's so familiar, so ordinary, and so accepted that we rarely question it. I'm talking about sodium, not just the salt you sprinkle on your food, but the mountains of sodium hiding in canned soups, packaged snacks, frozen dinners, sauces, condiments, even healthy low-fat products. For many older adults, high sodium intake is part of daily life. But what they don't realize is that sodium doesn't just affect blood pressure. It has a direct, immediate, and powerful impact on your legs. Have you ever looked down at your feet in the afternoon and noticed they're swollen? Ankles puffier than they were in the morning? Shoes feeling tighter? That's not just normal aging. That's your body retaining water, trying to flush out the excess sodium it's holding on to. And when that water builds up in your lower limbs, your legs become heavier, stiffer, more fatigued. You move less. Your balance worsens. And the cycle deepens. But the swelling is only the surface symptom. What sodium does beneath the surface is even more dangerous. It narrows your blood vessels, reduces blood flow to your muscles, and limits the delivery of oxygen and nutrients to the very tissues that keep you upright and moving. And when your muscles, especially those in your legs, are undernourished, they become weaker, more prone to cramps, and less able to recover from everyday activity. It's the reason some seniors feel fine in the morning, but by late afternoon their legs ache, their steps shorten, and stairs feel twice as steep. The body is telling them it's overloaded, and sodium is a major part of the problem. I remember one client, Gloria, 75, who came in frustrated. She said, "I walk every day. I do everything right. But by 4 p.m., I can barely stand." Her blood work was clean. Her routine hadn't changed. But when we analyzed her diet, we found the culprit, a daily healthy soup that packed over 1,800 milligrams of sodium per serving. That's more than the ideal daily limit for seniors in just one bowl. Once we swapped in fresh, low-sodium meals using herbs, lemon, garlic, and turmeric for flavor instead, the transformation was almost immediate. The swelling went down. The heaviness lifted. Her energy returned. And most importantly, her confidence in her legs came back. But sodium's impact doesn't stop at swelling or sluggishness. It also affects bone health in a way that surprises many. When sodium levels are too high, your body compensates by excreting calcium through urine. Over time, this robs your bones of critical density, especially in weight-bearing areas like the hips and spine. For seniors, this means that even a minor fall can lead to major fractures. It means that your legs, already vulnerable from weakened muscles, are being doubly compromised by weakened bones. And because sodium is so omnipresent, we often consume 2 to 3 times the recommended daily amount without even realizing it. It's not just the salt shaker, it's the salad dressing, the store-bought rotisserie chicken, the frozen vegetables that come with seasoning packs, the crackers, the low-calorie microwave meals. It all adds up. So how can you reduce sodium without sacrificing flavor or joy? Start with simple steps. Cook more meals at home, where you control what goes in. Read labels carefully. Look for low sodium, no salt added, and total sodium per serving under 140 milligrams when possible. Avoid flavor packets and pre-seasoned mixes. Flavor your food with herbs, citrus, garlic, onion, or vinegar, these at depth without adding salt. Be cautious with sauces, broths, and condiments. Even small amounts can carry a sodium punch. And if you're someone who experiences frequent leg swelling, heaviness, or muscle cramping, especially in the afternoon or evening, it's time to ask, how much sodium am I really eating? You might be surprised, but you might also feel empowered, because once you know, you can change it. If this part of the video made you realize how often salt sneaks into your meals, and how your legs have been trying to warn you all along, comment, "I hear my body now," below. That simple act can help you commit to a healthier path and encourage someone else to do the same. And now, as we near the end of this journey, it's time to step back and reflect. We've talked about the sugar that drains your energy, the fried foods that inflame your joints, the processed meats that weaken your muscles, the refined carbs that rob you of stamina, and the sodium that swells your legs and steals your stability. But there's one more piece of the puzzle we need to uncover: the truth about how these choices compound over time, and more importantly, what you can do starting today to reverse the damage, rebuild your strength, and walk into your future with confidence. So now that we've walked this journey together, through the sweet deceivers, the crunchy comforts, the meats of convenience, the refined fillers, and the salty seducers, let's pause, take a breath, and really ask ourselves, what is the life we want to live as we age? Is it one where we slowly shrink our world, letting our legs weaken, our steps shorten, and our confidence slip away? Or is it one where we stand tall, walk strong, and take control of our health one choice, one bite, one step at a time? Here's what I want you to take with you. Your legs are not just limbs. They are freedom. They are what carry you to the mailbox each morning, around the grocery store, up the stairs to tuck in your grandchild, or through the park on a sunny Sunday. They're your anchor when you're cooking, your support when you rise from bed, your balance when you dance, even just a little, in the kitchen to your favorite old song. But that freedom? It's fragile. And the foods you eat can either fuel it or quietly erode it day by day. This is not about being perfect. You don't need to throw away every indulgence, count every calorie, or become someone you're not. What you do need is awareness, intention, compassion for your own body. Because the truth is, most of the damage doesn't come from one big mistake. It comes from the daily habits we never question. The sugar we stir into our coffee, the healthy yogurt loaded with hidden sweeteners, the frozen dinner packed with sodium, the bread that gives a quick rush, then leaves us empty, the deli meat that's convenient but quietly inflammatory. Over the past 10 years of working with older adults, I've seen this pattern more times than I can count. Seniors who felt tired, stiff, weak, and thought it was just aging. But once we started removing the foods that were silently sabotaging them and replaced them with meals that nourish, protect, and rebuild, the change was incredible. I saw 70-year-olds take up walking again. I saw 80-year-olds climb stairs without pain. I saw people trade their canes for hiking poles. Not because they took a miracle pill, but because they changed how they fed their legs. You may be thinking, isn't it too late for me? And to that I say, absolutely not. One of my patients, Ruth, was 81 when she finally changed her diet. She'd been eating the same way since the 1970s, toast and jam, deli meat, sweetened tea, fast food twice a week. When she came to me, she could barely get out of a chair without pushing herself up with both arms. Her legs shook. She had fallen twice, and she was scared. But Ruth made small, consistent changes. She swapped white bread for sprouted grain. She used avocado instead of processed spreads. She made her own soups, low in sodium, high in greens. Within 3 months, she was standing without help. Within 6 months, she was walking her dog again. She told me, with tears in her eyes, "I feel like I've come back to life." That's what food can do. That's what you can do. So wherever you are right now, whether you feel strong or weak, hopeful or discouraged, know that every step you take matters. And if your legs feel tired, if your knees ache, if you've been struggling to get up or stay steady, don't just accept it. Ask yourself, what have I been feeding my foundation? Because that's what your legs are, the foundation of your mobility, your independence, your dignity. And your body is constantly listening to what you give it. Here's what you can do starting today. Reduce processed sugar, replace it with fruits that nourish, not spike. Avoid fried and fast food, try baked or air-fried alternatives with olive oil. Cut back on processed meats, choose lean, fresh proteins. Swap out refined carbs, use whole grains, legumes, colorful vegetables. Lower sodium, use herbs, spices, lemon, and garlic to flavor naturally. These aren't diets. They're not restrictions. They are acts of love for your body, your future, and your freedom. Now I want to hear from you. If something in this video connected with you, if you realized you've been eating something every day that might be hurting you, I want you to share it in the comments. Just write, "This is what I'm changing." It doesn't have to be dramatic. Even saying, "I'm replacing my breakfast cereal with oatmeal," is powerful, because your decision may inspire someone else. Your action might change another life. That's the ripple effect we're creating here, a community of older adults who don't accept weakness, who don't give up, and who don't stop growing stronger. And if you found this video helpful, if you learned something that gave you clarity, hope, or the push you needed, please give it a thumbs up so it reaches more people like you. Subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future videos filled with tools to help you stay active, mobile, and independent. This channel is for you, built from years of real stories, real struggles, and real success. And we're just getting started. You are not powerless. You are not too old. You are not done. Your body has memory. Your legs have history. And both are still listening. Feed them what they need, and they will rise with you. Here's to stronger steps, steadier balance, and a life lived on your terms, one bite at a time.